Americans want our resources, our water, our land, our country.
The American people are sick and tired.
Canada has banned U.S. exports, escalating the trade war to a new level. What began with Trump's tariffs has erupted into a fierce economic battle, with Canada striking back boldly and unexpectedly. And let me tell you, this is more than a policy dispute for now. It will redefine North America's future.
Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum too.
Canada's decision to stop U.S. exports has sent shockwaves through North America. For years, the U.S. and Canada have stood shoulder to shoulder, weathering wars, economic crises, and global challenges.
We're the closest friend and the best ally of the United States, period. The best neighbor they could ever have, 5,000 kilometers of undefended border.
They were more than just neighbors. They were family. But now, Canada feels betrayed. The breaking point came when President Trump doubled tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. To Canada, this was an attack on their sovereignty and dignity. For decades, Canadian aluminum has been a cornerstone of industries across North America, especially in auto manufacturing. Trump's tariffs disrupt trade and broke trust too. Apart from feeling heartbreaking, Canada's response was stunning. A move that no one expected, halting U.S. exports. It's a decision that will ripple through economies, industries, and even personal lives.
There are millions of jobs in the US and of course in Canada that are linked. We are extremely integrated in terms of our own economy.
The impact is already being felt in deeply connected industries like auto manufacturing. Most people don't realize just how intertwined the supply chains between these two countries are. Take a car's engine piston, for example. The raw aluminum often comes from Quebec, where 80% of North America's aluminum is produced. That aluminum is then shaped in factories in Canada and shipped to U.S. plants for finishing. Cutting off this flow is a full-blown crisis.
And you saw the US markets tanking, and you saw also potentially the price of gas going up.
U.S. automakers are now scrambling to find alternatives. But sourcing materials domestically or from other countries is expensive and slow. The result? Rising costs that will likely hit consumers in the form of higher car prices. And it's not just cars. Agricultural goods, energy exports, and other key sectors are feeling the squeeze.
And President Trump ran on a mandate to lower costs, to create more jobs. This is going to do exactly the opposite.
Trump's America First policies were supposed to boost domestic industries, but they're backfiring unexpectedly. Production costs for U.S. companies are skyrocketing, and layoffs are becoming a real possibility. In trying to protect American jobs, these policies are putting them at risk.
Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form.
Trump's recent comment suggesting that Canada should become the 51st U.S. state makes this even more shocking. To Canadians, this was a direct insult. It dismissed Canada's independence and poured gasoline on an already raging fire.
So Donald Trump thinks he can weaken us with his plan to divide and conquer.
Meanwhile, Canadian provinces are doubling down. They've implemented their own countermeasures, targeting key U.S. industries like coal, agriculture, and auto manufacturing components. These retaliatory tariffs are designed to hit where it hurts. American businesses that rely on Canadian markets are already feeling the pinch, and the tension is only growing.
The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada.
Canada's retaliation against Trump's aggressive tariffs didn't come quietly or without precision. It was calculated, targeted, and meant to send a powerful message. Canadian provinces united like never before, crafting countermeasures that were effective and strategic.
I will do everything, including cut off their energy, with a smile on my face. And I'm encouraging every other province to do the same. Quebec, Manitoba.
The provinces of Quebec, Manitoba, and British Columbia emerged as key players in this counterattack. Quebec, a powerhouse in aluminum production, led the charge. Their aluminum industry supplies 80% of North America's needs, especially for the auto sector. In response to Trump's tariffs, Quebec imposed targeted levies on American coal and agricultural products, sectors heavily dependent on Canadian markets.
We didn't ask for this fight, but Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans...
Manitoba, a province often overlooked in trade discussions, targeted agricultural imports from the U.S., particularly soybeans and corn. These products form the backbone of farming economies in states like Iowa and Illinois, making the impact impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, British Columbia went after U.S. wine and spirits, a significant export from California's Napa Valley. The move was designed not just to retaliate, but to support Canadian wine producers, offering a dual economic advantage.
Americans want our resources, our water, our land, our country.
For Canada, this trade war is more than just numbers on a balance sheet. It's a deeply emotional conflict that cuts to the core of their relationship with the United States. We're not just neighbors, we're family, has been a recurring sentiment from Canadian leaders. But Trump's actions have made it clear that this familial bond isn't reciprocated.
Think about it. If they succeeded, they would destroy our way of life.
The betrayal stings, especially given Canada's history of standing by the U.S. in times of crisis. From global wars to economic downturns, Canada has always been a reliable ally. Yet, Trump and his MAGA cheerleaders treat Canada like a convenient punching bag. Their actions are egged on by lies, chaos, and a nationalist rhetoric that dismisses decades of partnership. But while the anger is palpable, it's directed not at everyday Americans, but at Trump and the system that enables him. Canadians understand that their frustration is with the policies and leadership, not with the people. This distinction is essential, as it highlights the complex emotions at play. If there's one industry that captures the chaos of this trade war, it's the auto sector. The supply chains connecting Canada and the U.S. are intricate, efficient, and heavily interdependent. But Trump's tariffs and Canada's retaliation have thrown this delicate balance into disarray. The numbers are staggering. Quebec supplies 80% of North America's aluminum, a critical material for everything from car bodies to engine components. Without it, U.S. automakers are struggling to meet production demands. The result? Delays, increased costs, and potential job losses.
This sort of cluster in around 5% pay cut for the economy as a whole. It's pretty significant stuff. Takes 2 years for it to reach that point.
It's not just about aluminum. Other auto components, like brake pads and wiring systems, are also caught in the crossfire. The disruption is creating a domino effect, with each broken supply chain link threatening the entire industry's stability. For U.S. automakers, the stakes couldn't be higher. Finding alternative sources for materials isn't just expensive, it's almost impossible in the short term. Domestic production can't meet the demand, and importing from other countries brings its own set of challenges, including higher costs and longer shipping times.
The president was totally annoyed that the Europeans did this, and so you're going to hear back from someone who emotionally cares about America. And why are Europeans picking on Kentucky bourbon?
Here's the thing. Trump's trade war sent shockwaves around the world. And guess who else isn't here for his nonsense? The European Union. These folks didn't just sit back and watch. They clapped back with an eye-watering $26 billion in tariffs aimed squarely at American exports. That's right, bourbon, Harley-Davidsons, and orange juice are feeling the heat. Now, let's pause and appreciate the irony. Trump's tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel were supposed to protect American industries. Instead, they've made the U.S. a magnet for international retaliation. Countries are lining up, emboldened by the mess with Canada, to show Trump that his America First mantra has serious global consequences.
But when we hear 25% tariffs, it's an existential threat, because this would account on hundreds of thousands of jobs in Canada being lost.
But it's not just about tit-for-tat tariffs. This spat has investors clutching their wallets. Financial markets, already as skittish as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs, are now spiraling into uncertainty. Global trade isn't just some abstract concept. It's the backbone of economies everywhere. When one piece collapses, the whole Jenga tower starts to wobble.
As of this morning, the United States is applying a 25% tariff on imports of steel and aluminum. We deeply regret this measure.
And here's the kicker. The US-Canada fallout might be setting the stage for a global economic Cold War. Forget nuclear weapons. We're talking about weaponized tariffs and trade restrictions. With North America becoming the epicenter of this brewing conflict, everyone's bracing for a long and ugly standoff. Let's talk about the part no one likes to mention, the collateral damage. While leaders exchange barbs and tariffs, the environment and everyday people are paying the price. Regions with looser mining regulations, where environmental standards are, let's say, more suggestive than enforceable. This means more mining, more pollution, and a bigger mess for all of us. And let's not forget the human toll.
The next leader of the Liberal Party and the next Prime Minister of Canada. Because right now, we Canadians have to stand up and fight for our country.
Layoffs are looming large, not just in coal, but across industries tied to aluminum, steel, and manufacturing. Workers are anxious, wondering if their jobs will survive this trade war. At the same time, consumer prices are creeping up. This trade war is more than just about dollars and cents. It's a fight with real, lasting consequences. It's about whether we're building a sustainable future or burning through resources like there's no tomorrow. Like this video and subscribe to the channel to get more updates on the trade war.